What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron. Today we're going to be checking out the new album Oh What the Future Holds by the band Fit For An Autopsy, and this is their 6th studio album. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this band, they are a deathcore band from New Jersey. They started around 2008, and I feel like since that time they've been climbing the rankings of deathcore, working their way up to being one of the top most respected bands in the genre. And their last album, Sea of Tragic Beasts, it just really set the bar for deathcore and this band and what they can really do and what they can bring to the table. And I feel like it brought them more into the spotlight and got them a lot more recognition that I feel like they deserve. This is one of my favorite bands. It's the band that got me into deathcore. Like before, I'd listened to other bands and other deathcore songs and stuff like that, and it just never really stuck. Like The Art Is Murder and Whitechapel, it just never really got into it. And then I listened to Fit For An Autopsy, and it just started to click, and I got it. And then after that, I went back and listened to all the other bands, and I found out that I loved that too. So I owe a lot to this band for helping me get into the genre as well. And while it's my favorite, I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible in this review, which if you guys have seen my reviews before, even if I absolutely love a band, I have no problem telling you if it sucks, So I'm going to try, like I said, my best to give you an unbiased review on this. The album opens up with the title track song, Oh What the Future Holds. It's very eerie, full of a lot of melancholy. The instruments start joining in one at a time as the energy builds up, and the whole song erupts as the vocals come in. The riff is very simple, yet really groovy, while I feel like the drums carry most of the song. The breakdown is pretty sporadic, and it has a weird, unsettling rhythm pattern to it, and then it goes directly into the second song, Pandora, which is one of my favorite songs on this album. Honestly, I have like 6 songs marked on this as being one of my favorites. It's just too hard to pick. I feel like this song is about opening Pandora's box. We as humans have done things that can't be undone, mistakes and stuff that have altered the planet. There's references to like the ozone layer being destroyed, the oceans being contaminated with oil spills, things like that. The riff is pretty bouncy, and the drums fills basically all of the open spaces that there is. The vocals sit behind the mix just a little bit, but they come out a little bit more in front, have a little bit more power to them when it goes into the chorus. And I like that coming directly out of the chorus, it goes right back into the verse. It doesn't waste any time going straight back into the main riff, but the vocals don't come in with it. So there's no breathing room, but at the same time, it gives you a second to really enjoy the music for what it is. That's one thing I enjoy a lot about Fit For An Autopsy that they did on Sea of Tragic Beasts as well. They give you a minute, or I guess not a minute, but they give you a little bit to enjoy the music in between the transitions from verses to choruses and things. And the breakdown is probably one of the best breakdowns I've heard in a very long time. I gotta admit though, the guitar solo, it felt a little out of place, I suppose, but I enjoyed how it transitions in and out of the song. I'm not really huge on guitar solos in deathcore and metalcore, but I like how it kind of fades out as it's ending and it goes into the final breakdown, ending the song. Another one of my favorite songs is Two Towers, which starts out with a very beautiful guitar tone and a thick bass, and the clean vocals are very unique sounding and kind of calming, I guess you could say. The verses have a haunting melody and triplets that make you want to get up and start running around the room. The distorted vocals layered over the riff are absolutely incredible. I love the way they kind of play off of each other in their own rhythms. The chorus sounds like war music thanks to like the gunfire sounding drum work. The bridge is very powerful, and that is also thanks to the onslaught of chugs and, dare I say, lyrics, which that's another really standout piece to not just this song, but all the songs on this album, is the lyrics are very well written. There's no filler stuff. Even the songs that they don't go as deep sounding, they feel like something that's more made for a live audience to just get them riled up and start moshing around. The lyrics also are very impactful in those songs as well. The guitar solo this time I enjoyed a lot more because it's a little bit more atmospheric, and it plays off of the emotion of the song a lot more instead of just having a guitar solo in it. Then we have the song Higher Level of Hate, which I feel like is a straight up beat down song. It has a springy drum tone that kind of reminds me of like a tribal drum. Then it explodes with this wall of distortion and vocals. The riff has this descending feel that becomes even more so going into the pre-chorus, and the chorus is huge. As the music is unchanging, but the vocals are pushed a little bit more, they become a little bit louder, a little bit more powerful. The bridge is fantastic with some really quick scale runs, and this song has so much energy to it. And even though the main riff doesn't have a lot of variety and it doesn't change all that much, it never becomes dull or boring. So like when you get a little break and you get a little bit different section of music and it comes back in, it's like you're ready to go again. It's basically a perfect mosh song for a live audience. And then directly after that, we have the song Collateral Damage. And the drums and guitar have this rolling quality to them. The music slows down a little bit as it syncs up with the vocals in the chorus, and the verse has this really quick riff to it that adds a lot of depth to the song. The bridge is emotional, and again, lyrically, it just hits hard. It's kind of inspiring, I guess you could say. The guitar solo kind of psychs us out as it builds up and we think we're going to get a breakdown, but then this guitar solo comes in. It's absolutely fantastic. Even though I'm not a huge fan of guitar solos, I prefer breakdowns. When you're expecting something and then you get something else, it just makes the song so much more unpredictable. And to me, that stands out quite a bit. And the outro has a lot of passion in the music and in the motion, and dynamic guitar harmonies are just screaming along. In Shadows starts out with some thick guitar chugs that gets pretty dissonant as it goes into the verses. The deep vocals are very powerful and they mix well with the higher tone vocals, especially when we go into the chorus where we have the distorted vocals accented by kind of like these yelled clean vocals, and the chorus has a great hook to it as well. There's so much dynamics coming off of the guitars in the verses. There are 7-string guitars, they're tuned low, there's a lot of distortion, and yet there's just so much clarity just screaming out of them. And then we have this another like a pseudo breakdown thing as it gets built up into it, and then it just breaks out into another really powerful, thick sounding chorus. It's not really at all what you would expect. Again, I love how they keep catching us off guard. Like you think that something's going to happen, it's very stereotypical, and then it just goes into something else. You're not expecting another chorus or guitar solo, something just out of the ordinary. And then we have the song Far From Heaven, which is another one of my favorite songs that I reviewed when it came out as a single. I gave it a 4.7. It just has one of the best grooves on this whole album. It expresses frustration in like gaps of classes in society, such as like a higher status person kind of keeping somebody of a lower status, someone who's not that well off, keeping them, basically keeping the little guy down from becoming successful and having a better life. The music is super aggressive, and I love the transitions in this song, specifically from the breakdown to the chorus, and then the bridge, it builds up into another absolutely nasty breakdown with, again, great guitar tone. The song Savages is, dare I say, savage, as it starts out pretty thrashy, but then it becomes just straight up death metal as we get to the verses. The pre-chorus is stompy and the lyrics are brutal, and even the post-chorus lyrics are just, they don't hold anything back because it kind of drives home the point that he just made. This is only a 4-minute long song, but because of how it's just non-stop in your face, it feels like you've been getting beat up for about twice as long as that by the time you get to the breakdown, which is the outro. The song Conditional Healing starts out with a really sick sounding melody playing in the background of a brutal riff. The pre-chorus is pretty choppy while the chorus is very long and drawn out with the return of the melody that we got in the intro. The lyrics in this, again, don't hold anything back as it's calling attention to mothers having to bury their sons. I'm not really sure what the context of this is. I read the lyrics quite a bit and tried to figure it out in the title of the song. I'm not really good at deciphering what lyrics mean because if there's metaphors in there, I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming it has something to do with some type of medical thing, obviously conditional healing, maybe dealing with depression or suicidal thoughts, something along those lines. But regardless of what I think it means, there's a lot of frustration and anger just coming out in this song. And then we have the closing track, The Man That I Was Not, which starts out with a bassy intro with just fantastic sounding clean vocals. The clean guitar sounds beautiful every time it shines through, and all the rest of the vocals and the other kind of acoustic sounding guitar. The distorted vocals come in with their fists swinging, though, about maybe a minute or so through the song. Made me think that this was just going to be a completely clean ballady kind of song. The chorus is gigantic, with lots of atmosphere coming from the guitars. It kind of tricks you, though, into thinking that this song is over around the 4-minute mark, but then it comes back in with these tribal drums and a distorted vocals that kind of mesmerize you as you get lulled through this entire outro as it's repeating itself. But I wouldn't really call it repetitive because you don't get tired of it. That's one thing that personally for me never happened on this album, is anything that's been repeating, I'm never like, God, I wish they would just get over it. Even though this is repeated quite a bit in the outro, it doesn't hurt the song whatsoever. It's a fantastic closing track. The lyrics in it are fantastic. The emotion, you get a lot of closure from it. It's just, it packages it up nice. This album is insanely heavy, but the main thing for me is just about every single song was different. I mean, the breakdowns are brutal, but they're not used in every single song. And even when you're gonna get kind of psyched out, you think that the song is building up and you're gonna get a breakdown and you get something else, that isn't used every time. And when it is used, it isn't even used in the same way. Sometimes you get a chorus, sometimes you get a solo. And even the guitar solos weren't used throughout every single song. And they weren't used in the same way either. A lot of them were either shreddy or atmospheric. And the songwriting in this is borderline proggy. It's really hard for me to predict where each song was going to go, especially listening to it the first time. And the vocals are unique, going from highs to lows. Even at times when the vocals sit behind the mix or when they're used in a more explosive, powerful kind of way, it just adds so much more distinction to each one of these songs. And like I said, I'm trying to be as absolutely unbiased as possible, but honestly, I can't really find anything that I dislike about this album. I will admit, though, that Fit For Autopsy has been kind of a one-trick pony within the deathcore genre. Even though they do that one trick very, very well, they've only been really good at one thing. But I think adding clean vocals to this album really changed that up a lot, and it really set the bar even higher for them. The only thing I wish is that they put the clean vocals a little bit sooner in the album instead of at the end of the album. I feel like it would have been better if we got some clean vocals maybe around the 5th or 6th track. That way you just have this soaring first half of the album and then it kind of dips down to create a little valley, a little bit of breathing room, and then it goes back up again into the aggression that the rest of these songs are. Even though it doesn't really make that big of a difference, I think it just would have made the heavier parts a little bit heavier sounding, made things hit a little bit harder, but again, it's not like they don't hit hard already. So with all that said, I gotta give Oh What the Future Holds by Fit For Autopsy a 9.2 out of 10. Since Fit For Autopsy is one of my favorite bands, it is hard for me to be completely unbiased. So I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Oh What the Future Holds, and let me know what you would rate it. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. Also leave a comment below letting me know what I should review next. If you want to help support me and my channel and just make me feel good about myself, please consider ringing the bell icon and subscribing and doing all that stuff. That way you don't miss out on any of my future reviews, especially if you leave a request, because I am bringing back Request Wednesdays starting next week. So if you do leave a request, if you don't subscribe or ring the bell icon, there's a good chance you will probably miss it and comment your request again on a later video just to find out I already did it, which it does happen sometimes. So with all that said, I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time.
I was